Hello. Welcome to part two of the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. Today I will be also talking about other triangles such as the Bennington Triangle, um, Alaska's Bermuda Triangle, so on and so forth. Okay. One of my favorite books on the subject is this one. It's called The Devil's Triangle by Richard Weiner. It was written in, I think, 1974. It's also a film you can get called The Devil's Triangle, narrated by the legendary Vincent Price. Um, tells about famous disappearances like USS Cyclops, which disappeared during World War One. Now, the interesting thing about that is that both in World War One and World War Two, there was a ship that disappeared named the USS Cyclops. But like 100 miles away, a British ship with the same name was sunk with all hands. How eerie is that? I mean, that's the fact that it happened in both wars. Something's up with that. But anyways, a little more on Flight 19. Flight 19 disappeared December 5th, 1945. A routine bombing mission just after World War II ended. They took off from Fort Lauderdale, and for the most part, it was a routine mission up until all the planes disappeared, and then the big flying boat that was searching for them also disappeared, which tells you something right there. They've searched and they've searched for all since then over 70 years, but they have never found a trace of those planes. So, they've even searched in swamp areas, and the planes that they found, they never matched the ones that disappeared. So, well, you say you can't find something that can't be found. Nevertheless, but around Japan, there's an area called the Devil's Sea, which also is similar to the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know a lot about that. I know I know it exists, and try to find out more about that by the next show here. The Alaskan Triangle was here in 1974. There was two politicians disappeared over over the Alaskan Triangle, and they were still trying to find out what happened. Some think it might have been homicide because they were. Some people didn't necessarily like the decisions that they were making, so it's plausible that could have been factor in it. Could have been the weather, which in Alaska the weather's you never know. I mean, that's where how most people travel in Alaska is by plane, so could have been a pilot error or anything like that. But in reality, I don't think they're ever gonna know. It's been over 40 years now, so it's just something that will never be solved, as I've said before. I was going to do this show a couple nights ago, but wasn't able to, so I'm doing it now. I have a little stuffy today, so bear with me. Um, I actually dug this out. This is the one I mentioned in part one. This is the triangle with Luke Perry and Dan Cortese movie that you can get. They go into fishing in the Bermuda Triangle as a vacation, and they stumble upon this ship that reappears after 60 years, and they climb aboard her. The name of the ship in the movie is called the Queen of Scots, and as you can imagine, like several things happen with her aboard. It's probably one of the best movies about the Bermuda Triangle, along with Lost Boys with Judd Nelson. So if you can get a hold of those, it's well worth it. This one isn't always easy to get by itself, but you can get it um, in like packs with other movies, such as Stephen King's Storm of the Century, or um, so, something called 2103: The Deadly Wake, whatever that is. I don't know. Depends on if you want the movie by itself or you don't mind buying the collection. But yeah, it was a time when the movie was actually harder to get. But it's definitely worth having if you can find it. Now, as I mentioned, Devil's Triangle was narrated by legendary Vincent Price. Um, he really adds to the feel of it. He's got the right voice for something like that, and you can really see why he's chosen to narrate that. He's the king of horror. I mean, there's nobody better than Vincent Price. The closest ones being that were both gone at the time would have been Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff, but they passed before that was even filmed. So now, let's see if I can find this somewhere. This is a picture of the similar planes that were Flight 19, made by Navy Avengers. These are the same type of planes that they used that disappeared on Flight 19. Another thing that happens in the Bermuda Triangle is water spouts that come out of nowhere, and as I said, storms, rogue waves. If you don't know what a rogue wave is, it's a tidal wave that comes out of nowhere. There's no warning, and you don't have any time to prepare for it. And I mean, they don't just happen in the Bermuda Triangle. That's likely what took out the Andrea Gale. If you've seen the movie The Perfect Storm, you know what I'm talking about. It actually happened, 1991. The Andrea Gale disappeared, luckily sunk by a rogue wave. A couple days before Halloween, most likely. Near as I can tell, she actually went down somewhere near where the Titanic went down. Don't know the exact coordinates, but somewhere in that general area. But they have never found the Andrea Gale. We don't really know. But anyways, the thing that interests me, that intrigues me about the Bermuda Triangle and the other cousins or other cousin triangles or sister triangles, whatever you want to call them, is that anything can happen. They don't take, as I said, they don't take everything. So if you're flying over it, you may get through no problem. But if it wants you, then it's going to take you. But the question is where and probably when does it take you. For all we know, you can end up in the future, you can end up in somewhere in the far past. common thing that happens is the compasses will go nuts, your radios will go out, you won't have any idea where you are. That's usually when that happens. That's when the triangle's interested in taking it. So it's supposed to be another movie coming out about the Bermuda Triangle. The news broke a few years ago, but I haven't seen it yet. It's the rights were bought by WWE, which I don't know really why, but they don't really have a lot of experience making horror movies, or any for that matter. So we'll see if it ever materializes. But it's 2016. I think the movie first broke 4 years ago, so I don't even know if it's going to be made at this point. Well, it seems like it'd be a good movie, though. I mean, horror movie about the Bermuda Triangle, so can't imagine it being really bad. Another thing I wanted to touch on was where I live, this Lake Champlain, cousin to the Bermuda Triangle. Certainly possible. Many planes have gone down there, or in the lake. The most baffling was off Colchester Point in 1971, and they disappeared off the radar and without a trace. Now this is a lake, mind you, not the ocean. So it would not be that really all that hard to find a crashed plane. But for 45 years they can't find it. You kind of wonder what happened. The guy that wrote this article seems to disagree that Lake Champlain is because of the Bermuda Triangle. Well, you've got to understand anything is possible. Anything. There's more to life than what we see, and you're not going to see something or encounter something unless it wants you to. It's that simple. It's just like you see a ghost. You see it because it wants you to see it. If it doesn't want you to see it, then you're not going to see it. So it's can't put it any plainer than that, I guess. A rare movie that you can get about the Bermuda Triangle came out in 1998. It's called Lost in the Bermuda Triangle. I forget who's in it, but it was a made-for-TV movie. It was only released on VHS. It's pretty good. It's not a horror movie. I really don't know what you would classify it as, but it's definitely interesting. I mean, try not to give too much of it away, but this couple goes on a trip because the woman has cancer, so they're trying to get her mind off of it. But she ends up on the island in the Bermuda Triangle after she disappears. She doesn't have the cancer anymore, so it's like a different world that has like healing powers. So it's pretty interesting if you can find it. Like I said, it's really, really rare. I mean, it was released almost 20 years ago, and because it's not on DVD or Blu-ray, it's that much harder to get. I mean, I don't even have a copy of that. And I did years ago, but I think that was one of the ones I had that broke. Couldn't do much about it because I don't know how to repair VHS tapes, so tossed it. Hope to find it again someday, though. Um, let's see. Another thing I wanted to touch on was scenarios that could have happened. Like, would the Titanic have ever been found if the Titanic had gone missing in the Bermuda Triangle or sunk in the Bermuda Triangle? Would it have ever been found? Can anybody answer that question? Probably not, because we don't know for sure. Sorry, not on my desk today. But let's see. I forgot where I put that other book, but the best book that you can get on the Bermuda Triangle is by Charles Berlitz. That was written, I believe, also in the early 70s. It was a good era for stuff like that. There's a movie that came out in 1978 called The Bermuda Triangle that John Huston was in. It was different. It wasn't bad. It's worth it if you can get it, cheap. I mean, it wasn't that good where you'd want to spend more than like $5, $6 on it. It wasn't that good. For 70s movie, for what it was, good, I guess. Another thing, I don't know if y'all are familiar with video games, but this is called Splashdown Rides Gone Wild. And in it, there is where you're racing these Sea-Doo jet ski things, and it's a nice, bright, sunny day around Bermuda. Then it just goes blank, and it's bad storms. You're in a graveyard of ships. There's World War II planes dogfighting overhead. Um, it's like a Bermuda Triangle thing inside the game. It's pretty cool. This game's relatively easy to get if you can get a hold of it. If you have a PlayStation 2, or you have a PlayStation 3 to play PlayStation 2 games, it's definitely worth it. I mean, that's one of the reasons I got the PlayStation 2, so I just like doing that race. I don't really care if I win, but I like the Bermuda Triangle thing in it. There's like there's a part where you go up what's basically supposed to be like the Titanic, and you jump out of it. The Titanic didn't go down to the Bermuda Triangle, but based on the popularity of the ship itself, I see why they put it in the game. So it's worth it for that. There's also a similar game that has something like that called Dead in the Water for PlayStation 1. Good luck finding it. I haven't played it in years, but it's fun. And again, there's several different levels. I believe there's a Bermuda Triangle one. I can't remember now. I know there's a part in the Arctic where it's a combat game, so you better go after the other boats, and in doing so, you sometimes hit things in the game that you don't mean to. Like, I seem to have sunk the Titanic when I played that game. That's interesting that they put that in there so you could do that. Whatever. I didn't design the game, so I have no say in that. But There's also a Atari game called the Bermuda Triangle or the Devil's Triangle back in the 80s. Never played it, but it doesn't look too bad. But, that just shows you how popular the subject is in popular culture. It's definitely a popular subject, right up there with the Titanic. And of course, Titanic's sister ships. Which I'll get into that at a later date. We're actually approaching the anniversary of the Titanic sinking in a couple weeks, so I will do a show or two on that. And also, of course, the Britannic, her sister ship, and well, I'm gonna do a lot of different history shows. Sorry, throat. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on is there seems to be another crap going around again that the methane gas is responsible for the disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle. And as I've said in part one, that is not the case. Because if methane gas had sucked a boat down, if it could sink a ship, why do any boats or ships even make it out of port? And if it can suck a plane out of the sky, how does any plane ever fly over the ocean and get to its destination? Just because it worked on a toy boat? Okay, I mean, we did that stuff and we did those kind of experiments in grade school. That doesn't prove anything. All I'm saying is don't believe all the hype. There's more mysteries in life and things we can't explain than people realize, and the Bermuda Triangle is one of those things. I mean, some people say that, oh, it doesn't take this, it doesn't take that, and I was like, well, it doesn't take everything, it takes what it wants and who it wants. You know, it's just the way it is. No one ever said it took everything that passed through it. But, at the end of the day, I mean, there's some people that just don't want to believe in anything because they can't explain. So they have really boring lives, so they need to come up with things to amuse themselves, I guess, is the best way to put it. But oh well, that's life, I guess. But also in the Bermuda Triangle, there's been reports of UFOs and aliens. Not everything gets reported, of course, but certainly possible. I mean, look at some of the things that have happened there. I mean, of all of the planets in the solar system, I seriously doubt that we're the only ones that we're the only planet that has life on it. I really doubt that. But, you know, again, at the end of the day, people are going to believe what they want to believe. I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't think those other planets are there just for the fun of it. What was the last thing I was going to say? Sea creatures, living in a triangle like a giant squid. They just discovered they just found another giant squid swimming off the coast of Japan. Mm, some of those are, well, actually a lot of them are mean. They're not very nice creatures. So something like that could be responsible for disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle or anywhere really. Some of them octopuses can get pretty big too. There's actually you might have seen it, there's a video of a octopus leaping out of a tide pool and grabbing a crab and going back into the tide pool. Which I did not know octopuses could jump like that, but I know now. So that's interesting. Definitely a fun video to watch. It's less than a minute long, but it's here on YouTube if you want to watch it. I'll cover more details on the Bermuda Triangle and other subjects like the Titanic, the life and death of the Red Baron, World War One. Also, be doing a show on Hank Williams at some point, being a country music, and many other subjects that interest me. So if you like my videos, subscribe to my channel. Anyways, as Hank always said, good Lord's will and the creek don't rise. We'll see you again before long. Have a nice day.